They told her to pack her gear and leave before sunset. They said she did not belong. They said the program had no room for mistakes. Like her dot by the time the gates closed behind her, no one noticed the black sedan rolling toward the command, building with a sealed request that carried a single name. Asterisk, what city are you watching from today? If this story resonated with you, hit subscribe for more stories about extraordinary people. Her name, Mara Kincaid, arrived at the training compound with a duffel bag, a quiet posture, and a reputation she never spoke about. The desert air was sharp that morning, and the instructors watched new arrivals the way predators measure distance. Most recruits tried to look confident. Some tried to look tough. Mara tried to look invisible. She had learned long ago that silence could be armor. The program was designed to break people. It stripped away habits, comfort, and identity until only instinct remained. Days blurred into nights. Sleep became a rumor. Food became fuel, not pleasure. Mistakes were corrected publicly and without mercy. Mara struggled early, at least in ways that were easy to see. She was smaller than most. She did not shout during drills. She did not compete for attention. When others joked, she stayed quiet. When others bragged, she looked away. The instructors noticed what they wanted to notice. During endurance tests, she finished near the middle. During marksmanship evaluations, she placed well but never showed off. During tactical simulations, she followed orders exactly, never adding flair. To some, that made her forgettable. To others, it made her suspicious. The first comment came during week 2. One instructor glanced at her scorecard and said she lacked aggression. Another said she lacked presence. A third said she lacked leadership potential. Mara stood at attention and accepted every word without reaction. Inside, she counted breaths. She had been here before, in different uniforms and different places. She knew how quickly assumptions hardened into judgments. She also knew when silence was safer than truth. The pressure increased. Tasks grew harder. The instructors pushed her in ways that felt less like testing and more like provocation. When she completed a long ruck march without complaint, they accused her of conserving energy. When she volunteered for extra duty, they accused her of hiding. Then came the exercise that changed everything. A complex scenario required quick decisions under stress. The team fractured. Orders conflicted. Time slipped away. When the debrief came, blame followed. Mara was called forward. They said she failed to assert herself. They said she failed to take control. They said she failed the standard. She tried to explain that she followed the chain of command as trained. Her voice was calm, measured, respectful. The lead instructor cut her off. He said this program did not need followers who waited for permission to act. The decision was swift. She was removed from the course that afternoon. No appeal. No delay. As she packed her gear, whispers followed her down the barracks. Some recruits avoided her eyes. Others looked relieved that it was not them. Mara folded her clothes with precision. She cleaned her space. She left nothing behind. At the gate, the officer on duty handed her discharge papers with a look that mixed pity and indifference. She thanked him and walked away. She did not look back. The call came. 2 hours later, the command building buzzed with confusion as a senior officer received a request routed through channels few people ever saw. The document carried seals that demanded attention. The wording was brief, formal, and unmistakable. A federal agency requested immediate transfer of a specific individual. The name matched the one on the discharge papers. The officer frowned and checked the time stamp. The request had been filed before the decision to remove her from training. Questions followed. Phones rang. A general was notified. A black sedan was dispatched to the gate. By the time the vehicle caught up to Mara on the highway shoulder, the sun was low and the day felt heavier than it should have. The driver stepped out and addressed her by full name. He asked her to come with them. She looked at the car, then at the horizon, then back at the driver. She said she had been dismissed. The driver said the dismissal was no longer valid. At the compound, instructors gathered in the briefing room as Mara was escorted inside. The room fell silent when she entered. She stood the same way she always had, calm and unreadable. The general spoke first. His voice was controlled, but his expression had changed. Asked her why she never disclosed her background. Mara answered that she was not asked. He asked her why her records were sealed. She answered that she was told to keep them that way. He asked her if she understood the request that had just arrived. She said she did. Room felt smaller as the general read aloud. Agency cited prior cooperation, exceptional performance under non-traditional conditions, and a proven ability to operate without recognition or support. They requested her by name for an assignment requiring discretion, adaptability, and restraint. One instructor shifted uncomfortably. Another looked at the floor. The general looked back at Mara and asked a final question. He asked if she wanted to stay. Mara considered the room, the program, and the faces that had judged her without knowing her. She said her commitment was to service, not validation. She said she would go where she was needed. The general nodded. The decision was immediate. Her transfer was approved. As she prepared to leave, one instructor approached her privately. His tone was quieter than before. He said he misjudged her. Mara met his eyes and said judgment was easy when silence was misunderstood. He asked her what she had learned. She said that loudness was often mistaken for strength, and restraint was often mistaken for weakness. She walked out with the same posture. She arrived with invisible to those who looked only for noise, essential to those who understood silence. Years later, her name would never appear in headlines. Her face would never appear on screens. The stories tied to her work would remain classified, fragmented, and anonymous. But somewhere, decisions would be made because of information she gathered. Lives would change because of paths she quietly redirected. Crises would dissolve before the world ever knew they existed. She was not kicked out because she failed, was removed because she did not fit a narrow expectation of what excellence looked like. And excellence, when it truly matters, rarely announces itself. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it listens. Sometimes it walks away quietly, knowing it will be called when the noise fades. What did this story make you feel? Where are you watching from? Subscribe to Soul Relief Stories for more real stories that heal the heart.